morning, everyone. I'm Ann Rossley. I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Kyle Harvey. We sell real estate in downtown Chicago, and we love to come to you every week to talk about what's happening in the Chicago real estate market. Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning, Ann.
So this week, I titled it Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics Part 2 because we're just continuing this conversation that we started last year about the unicorn years and how the media is talking about prices like prices are declining, we're on the cliff, and that is not the case at all. Both Kyle and I subscribe to a great resource called Keeping Current Matters, which talks about what's really happening in the real estate market. And we want to share a little bit about that today. Additionally, we have a free offer of photos, and we're going to talk about why it's important to do your property photos in the summertime versus the wintertime. And then finally, we're going to talk about your credit report. So
a lot of stuff.
Okay. So we're not doing our typical stats start. We're going right into why mortgage rates are high.
Mortgage rates. There's a really interesting, everyone's like, mortgage rates are out of control. I don't know why mortgage rates are rising the way they're rising. And KCM has a really great explanation. For the last 50 years, the 30-year mortgage rate has moved largely, not completely, but largely in unison with the 10-year Treasury yield. So the 10-year Treasury yield is a number that is just provided by the selling of the 10-year Treasury notes and the yield that they provide, how much interest they pay. So usually, mortgage lenders will add a spread of about 1.72%, which is their costs and their profit for making mortgage loans. So it tends to be about 1.72%. As you can see, look at the way it tracks over the years. Yes, there are some bumpy years, but it largely tracks. The increase is now much larger than 1.72. So if it were 1.72 right now, the interest rates would be 5.37%.
And everybody be out there buying houses, right?
Frantically, or trying to. But remember, 70% of homeowners currently have a rate below 4%. So, and they're holding on to their homes because they don't want to pay 5.37, which, I get it. It would be a higher housing cost.
But certainly not at 6.85, which
6.85 is where it was at the beginning of the month. And I think we may be higher. But you see that the spread, the spread that the banks have got on top of 3.65 is 3.2%. Much higher, almost double. And if it were a 2.25%, it would bring us under 6%. And economists say the market would go wild with that if that were the case. Again, wild in the sense of buyer demand, not seller interest. So as you can see, the spread between the 10-year Treasury yield has in times gone berserk. I think a lot of older owners remember that in the early 80s, people were paying like 18% for a mortgage, my God. And they don't usually go over 3% where we are today, but there have been blips where they have gone on, and they tend to be during periods of high inflation or economic crises. So you'll see 08, 09.
Right.
We're here. Oopsie. And then where we are right now. So
it's a very unusual time is point number one. Point number two is due to inflation and uncertainty in the markets, we're higher than typical. And number three, if the future follows history, this is only a blip on the radar screen. It's not going to continue.
It's not going to continue that there will be such a spread in the yield, in the two yields.
Right.
But until we get inflation under control, the base interest rate against which the 10-year Treasury floats is going to be higher. So it's, I mean, we've had artificially low rates for so long. So this is what we were talking about. And this is, it just, it's history, looking at history. And this is what we've experienced this year. The average spread is almost 3% this year. So 2.7% to start the year, and where we are in June. Pretty big spread.
Absolutely.
So economists are suggesting, this is the chief economist for First American, are assuming that the spread will retreat. But the tricky thing is it's not going to retreat tremendously because we're still in a period of high inflation. And it's, because we've got, inflation is sticky. We've got other risks. And so it may not go back to 170 basis points like it was traditionally. It doesn't mean that it won't ever go back to it. It's just not this year, and they're not foreseeing it until we get inflation under control. So here we go.
Okay. So that was a June 2nd slide. So I pulled up where we are today. The 10-year Treasury as of Friday was 3.74. And here are where mortgage rates are. This is the Freddie Mac average, 6.67. And you can see in this blue where the range has been over the last 52 weeks, and the line is where we are today. So we're probably at 80% of the high. And then the 15-year fixed is 6.03, just to give you a sense of where we are and where we've been. Properties under contract. So here's a little slide I put together from time to time. I know people ask you, they ask me, when's the best time to put my home on the market? And keep in mind, everybody, that this goes down to 500. It doesn't go down to 0. So when you see this hit low, that's not 0 sales in the month. But this is what the chart has looked like month by month for the lakefront communities where Kyle and I sell. And we're different than the suburbs because we don't as much follow the school year, except for the COVID years. We were generally, March is the highest, in April here, the highest number of contracts are during this time. And yes. I oftentimes will go into my little speech about how Chicago historically was on the rent date of May 1 and October 1. And that's kind of where this all started. But anyway, bottom line, this is where most of the properties are. However, what do properties look like in March when they're going under contract? Right?
They break my heart. Whenever I see a listing like that, it breaks my heart. Yeah.
I actually sold this property when it looked like that.
I know.
Isn't that hilarious? Yeah. 6643 Chickara. Great little house. Okay.
I remember this house.
If they don't have snow, they're bare,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my firewall in the snow. Okay. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Nothing you can do.
So, okay. So what do you do?
Right.
What do you do? Well, Kyle and I are offering you an opportunity. If you're thinking of selling in the next 3 years or so, now's the time you need to get your photos, bank them, and have them ready. Because
just the exteriors. You don't have to do the interiors.
Right.
You don't have to clean up
your house or do anything.
Just make the exterior look good.
So just to show you before and after, because I'm a nut for before and afters. I love them. Yeah. Okay, look at this on the top left. This is the same house in the fall with no leaves on the trees, and here's the professional photograph.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like the resolution's not great, but look at it. Snow. It's a great house either way. But
improves. Beautiful. Don't you want to buy that house, not the one covered in snow?
Now, just imagine if I had a blue sky on this one.
Oh, you can add a blue sky. We can add a blue sky.
Here's the Chickara house when we resold it.
Oh, so cute.
Isn't that cute versus snow, right?
It makes you want to move right in.
Okay. Here's 3351 Seminary, winter. And this is spring or fall, spring. Whatever. The point is, even if you do a spring fall, at least it's more interesting.
Color. Yeah.
And here's that ugly Troy, and here it is with
Darling. Yeah.
Oh, and
Yes.
here, this is what I showed you, and here it is with the green. Huge difference in the snow in the summer. Okay, Beautiful. This is a courtyard building. Look at it up here, and then down here.
So people call us. We will come. We will not charge you. We will come and take exterior photos. We will do this. We will pick a day, a beautiful day, and travel around the city of Chicago taking pictures for you. So get in touch.
So I'm bringing to you a little stuff from Carol Ann Bozarth, one of our key mortgage partners who we adore. And she says you need to check your credit every year, which is great advice. Yeah. She says you want to look for mistakes and fix ones that can hurt your credit score and ensure your credit information is up to date, as well as you want to guard against identity theft.
I also think it's a larger conversation. Yes, it's your credit score, but most of us also bank online. Go through your online transactions and make sure you can identify every single one of them. Go through your credit card statements online because they'll have it all there, and make sure you can identify every single one of them. Because when there's something weird, the earlier you find it, the better off you'll be.
You know, you bring up an interesting point. Tom and I were just talking because he's getting all of the, Xfinity cable internet stuff set up. And this isn't credit, but it's a charge. So he signed up for one of those. Okay, if you order online, you don't have to pay the such and such fee, right? So he goes to check his numbers. He was charged for the
such and such fee,
setup fee, even though they said if you do it online, you don't have to. So, and I'm bad. And it's a good reminder to me that I need to check my accounts all the time, because if you don't, things slip in.
All the time, people.
And online is easy, and I love online, but we can get lulled into a belief that online is always accurate, and it's not. Yeah. Okay, so here are the most common errors you'll find. Loans or credit card accounts that you never opened.
Yes.
Misspelled names, social security numbers, wrong addresses or phone numbers. Accounts with late payments that are in error. Incorrect loan balances, incorrect credit limits, incorrect open or closed accounts, delinquents, or duplicate accounts. Have you checked your credit?
You know what? I'm embarrassed. I have not checked my credit because my credit is so high that I'm like, it's probably fine. I'm going to go check it.
So, we just bought another condo, so we obviously looked at our credit report, but one of the things that Carol Ann has said to me is that some of these, and I don't want to disparage anybody, but she says that Credit Karma and all of those aren't always right, which is, my husband and my son play this game about who's got the better credit score. So they're always looking at it, but they're looking at it on the Credit Karma and whatever.
Yeah.
But you can get to go to we'll have a link at the end that says where you go to get it for free, and you get the real one, the one that the lenders will use. But I haven't ever found an error in mine, but I know that from our lenders who tell us that when they work with our clients, they do oftentimes find them. And the problem is if you have an error in your credit score and you don't know it until you go to apply for a loan, it can set you back 3 months because it takes time to work through the process of cleaning up that credit. And more than ever in the last 10 years, your interest rate is tied to your credit score. So it's critical that you know.
Absolutely, especially now.
Okay, so if you find a mistake, what do? Send a letter, explain what you think's wrong and why. If you have a copy of your credit report, include that, ask for it to be corrected, never send original documents, keep a copy of your dispute letter, and mail with a delivery confirmation.
Can you do any of this online? Can you upload any of it, or do you have to mail it?
I think, that's a good question. I think you have to mail it.
Look online too.
We'll get Carol Ann on here to tell us that.
Okay.
She has a son who's in the volleyball nationals. Cheers to her and to Quinn and
Quinn.
Oak Park River Forest. Good luck. Anyway, So that's partly why she's not on today or won't be on next week, but later we'll get her. Okay. Creditors and credit bureaus have a certain period to respond to your dispute. They have to respond. So if you have the delivery confirmation, you can deal with it. This will help you prove that the date they received your dispute letter in case they exceed the response period. And if the creditor doesn't resolve your complaint, you can ask that that letter of dispute be included as part of your credit file. So at least it'll show that you disagree. And here's the link to show where you go, annualcreditreport.com.
So just for people who just saw that, if you've got to have a delivery confirmation receipt, you've got to send it with, you've got to go to the post office to send it to get that confirmation receipt, because it attaches to the letter that they as they mail it out. So it's a job to get this done, but do it. It's worth it.
Well, absolutely. Your interest rate depends on it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Excellent. Great advice, Carol Ann. Thank you so much, and go Quinn. Well, so I didn't realize it was National Home Ownership Month, and people, it always makes sense to do this. Now, buyers right now are saying, "Oh, I'll rent again because there's nothing on the market. I've been outbid. I'm not happy. I should just I should wait a year. Maybe a year's fine." Waiting a year is not fine when you look at all the reasons to be a homeowner. So Consumer Insights shows that 78% of Americans associate home ownership with the American dream. So 78% of us think this is worth doing. We can't be that wrong. That is a huge number. 65% know that homeownership is a means of building intergenerational wealth, because you build wealth that you can pass on to your offspring, to your grandchildren, to whomever. People say that millennials are they like to rent everything. They don't want permanent stuff. They don't want your antiques, all that stuff. But 68% of millennials and Gen Zs believe in buying real estate, either for investing and for their own home. So they're into it too. And 43% of millennials and Gen Zs are considering buying an investment property. So it's not
everybody knows homeownership's a good idea.
Everybody. So there are and for people who are sort of on the fence, it's so much easier just to write one check. They say, I just want to write one check to the landlord. Well, you're foregoing tax benefits of mortgage interest deduction, property tax deduction. Sure, they're not as high as they were in years past, but they're still there. If you think about it, the imputed rent, you are paying, your mortgage is what you would pay, probably less than what you would pay in rent. So your rent's taken care of.
Now, some people will say, oh, I'm just going to rent and then I'll take the money I would have spent on all the other stuff and I'll bank it. But it doesn't work like that, because you don't. You're paying your landlord's mortgage.
Yeah, you're paying all those things for your landlord. So it's already in the rent. You're not saving anything, people.
Right.
There's no banking it. And you're foregoing an eventual profit from selling your home.
Right.
You're paying yourself back, and that money is called equity, and that money comes back to you when you sell. Right. It's huge. So instead of paying the landlord's equity and letting him accrue equity, have it be for yourself. And, people, there are social benefits of home ownership.
And we don't talk about these, but these are a big deal.
And they matter in this post-COVID world. Civic participation, you start to care even more about your neighborhood. This is where your home is. This is the place where your biggest investment is. So you care what goes on in your neighborhood. You care what goes on in your city. So it increases your civic participation. It makes you smarter about financial issues and about how to take care of yourself financially. Supposedly health benefits. People are happier in their own homes. They feel safer. They feel it has been proven that you are healthier physically when you own a home. I don't understand why, but it's probably
mentally too. I mean,
right.
You can make changes to your home. You have control. You know how you always feel better when you can control your environment. You control it when you own it.
Yes. Privacy. You don't have a landlord busting in. This is your place. No, it's weird. It's absolutely. They don't get to come in.
This is your landlord.
Yeah, coming in. I give you notice, 1 hour's notice. I'm coming over. You can make improvements. Anne was talking about the improvements you can make. I was listening to a telecast, and they said that if your teenage son wants to paint his bedroom black, you can do it. You can't do it if you're renting. And the thing about home office, I don't really understand that, because you can have a home office and a rental property. You just have an extra bedroom. But I wonder, you probably can deduct if you have your home office. You got that deduction too. That's what it means. Thank you.
All right.
Financial benefits, building equity. We talked about this. You're paying yourself. It is like a forced savings.
Right.
Yay. I need forced savings. Long-term savings. So it's, 30 years of savings. Again, that people show time over time how much more financial assets a homeowner has versus a renter. The renters are they're just getting taken advantage of by renting. It's incredible that a homeowner will have something like 50 times the amount of savings as a renter. It's just unbelievable. It helps build a strong credit history because you're paying your mortgage every month. And you have a lot more control over your expenses because your housing costs are largely fixed. Right. I live in a condo. My homeowners association fee goes up 3-4% every year. And I want them to do that because it means they're staying on top of issues. But that's so much smaller than the huge hikes you can get with rent.
Remember, we showed this slide last month. Year over year rent increases in Chicago are 7 to 8%. So
shocking. And remember that my homeowner's fee is only a small component of my overall housing expense.
Rent. That's all.
So if it goes up just it goes up $30. I want it to do that because it means that the building is taking care of my property, which is really the important thing. So those are all good things. And I think that's all we have.
Thank you for watching Monday Morning Coffee with Kyla Ann. And we will not be here next week because of the 4th of July holiday, but we will return the following week. Please send us your questions if there are any topics you'd like us to cover, and we'd be happy to go over them. Meantime.
Also, wait. Reach out if you want your pictures taken.
Oh, right. Call us for pictures so we can get that organized for you. Absolutely. Yes. Thanks, Kyle.
Good.